Talking to Kerry Byrne of Cold Hard Football Facts. You can find him on that website, but you can also find him WEEI.com, the Boston Herald. I mean, hell, I don't know where you can't find him. SI.com also is a place where you can find him. And a front page article you have about cornering the market, about Nmandi Asomugah. And this seems to me to be the gist of your article with Asomugah. You make the case that Asomugah is one of the most dominant players in the league, definitely at his position. You also take the leap of talking about the 4 teams that he might end up as a free agent. But how do you take a guy who doesn't have numbers? How do you quantify a guy like Asomugah just because nobody throws against him, he doesn't get any numbers?
Well, it's one reason why I think football analysis, statistical analysis, is so far behind baseball. I mean, baseball, we've had the same numbers that people have tracked for 100 years.
Well, it's runners in scoring position, hitting in the clutch, late and close, all that stuff.
But every player has stats. Every player bats, except, pitchers in the American League. You get batting stats, you get pitching stats, you get fielding stats. And those stats have been pretty consistent. There's new ways to look at them, of course, over the last 20, 25 years. But football analysis, you've been able to analyze individuals in baseball, for 100 years. And football, it'll never be the same. As much as sites like Cold Hard Football Facts try to do a lot of statistical analysis, it's just not the same sport. It's tough to measure individuals statistically unless they're a running back, receiver, or quarterback. The way it is, the way you can measure each individual in baseball. So what we tend to look at a lot are team-wide stats. In Asomugah's case, he's obviously, he had his one great breakout year. I think it was the 06, 07 where he had 8 interceptions. And since then, I think he has 3 interceptions the last 4 years. But people aren't throwing at him, so it's a lot, he's not being targeted a lot, so obviously you're not going to get those numbers. But in effect, he's had a great effect on that Oakland defense, being able to shut down half the field, as they say, at that corner. So you can't necessarily measure his impact with his own individual stats, but you can measure team stats, and that's what we tend to look at are the team indicators, because football is the ultimate team sport. Every stat, every indicator is a function of the entire team's production. Even our offensive stats, there's a defensive function to them, because an offense is better if a defense puts it in good situations. Conversely, a defense is better if an offense puts it in good situations. And we have different indicators that kind of track that interaction between all the units on the field. So in his case, to bring it around to Asomugah, what we do is we look at what teams have statistical holes to fill, what teams are bad in the skills he would bring to the table. And so that's kind of what we did. And we cited 4 teams in particular: Detroit, Houston, Jacksonville, and New England. Teams that could really benefit from his skills because they struggled stopping opposing quarterbacks. And like we said, you can't win in the NFL if you don't stop opposing passes. So these are 4 teams, and there are others too. Philadelphia is one that jumps to mind. But there are teams that have obvious statistical weaknesses in pass defense that could benefit from his skills. So that's how we attack that article. To look at Houston, for example, Houston has an explosive offense. They get great offensive players: Matt Schaub, Andre Johnson, Arian Foster. They went 6-10 last year because they were dead last in pass defense.